Welcome to my Economics Chit Chat channel. And I would like to talk about a very interesting topic today called as the National Education Policy, which was framed in the recent days. Well, it's quite interesting to see that the government has taken a very wonderful step in terms of reforming the education, which is going to be more practical oriented rather than just theoretical. Now, with the inception of bringing in the 5 plus 3 plus 3 and a 4 together is going to actually reinvent the system in different way. Why? Because our traditional education that we have been seeing for the past so many years has been only focused upon the factor that study and make yourself theoretically stronger. But now with the inception of making education more flexible and making more skill oriented, probably this would be the first and the most important way of making the education system more on the developmental model rather than the theoretical model altogether. So definitely the national education policy needs to be appreciated, needs to be really praised upon, because this is definitely going to be a positive step in the development of the students in coming years. Similarly, I would also like to put an emphasis upon this part. Teachers, as in the role models for a nation, need to be selected on merit basis, need to be placed on merit basis rather than just selecting them out of an examination or out of the recommendation or all sort of corruptions that happen in the government postings. Now, if you look into the government postings, more than 20% to 30% of the seats are being either recommended, are being corrupted, bribed altogether, and you get into teachers who do not have enough quality, who do not have enough teaching standards, and that's one of the major reasons why the students lose interest in education. So the national education policy coming up with one single testing agency called as the NTA, National Testing Agency, trying to bring in now a very, very important and a crucial model in the selection of teachers will play a very important role in the education for the long run. Going forward, the selection of teachers should be based on merit rather than on any other background altogether. So the most important factor here is that we need to concentrate on the skill of the teacher. We need to concentrate on the development of the teacher. The respect for the profession called as teaching has to be restored at any cost. Then only education will start in developing. Because that is one thing that we have been losing over the last 2 years. Now, if you see that on a developmental move, what has happened is that most of them have started taking teacher as a very, very light oriented profession because they feel that there is not much of effort that has been put, there is not much of shaping that has been done. And many a times, if you start seeing that with the advent of online teaching coming into picture, the role of teacher is becoming lesser and lesser. It is the role of computer, it's a role of technology that is taking over the role of teacher. So there is a necessity, there is an immediate urgency that needs to come into place where you need to restore back the identity of the teacher. So let us take this as an opportunity to bring back the teacher into life, into the system. And with the amount of flexibility, the liberalization that we have brought in education, where a student can select a choice of his own and where he can complete the bachelor's degree based on his convenience, will definitely put India on a higher standard altogether. Now, what is going to happen is that many people argue saying that the students might not take education seriously. Now, education is not a very, very serious thing just by making it a compulsion or by a force. Education can be made serious only when you make it a choice of your own. Education is a discipline that needs to be imbibed inside every student. So, when you need to make education serious, you need to give the option to the student so that they are able to study the subjects of their choice. They are able to come out with their passion. It is not out of compulsion, but it is out of passion. That has to be clearly told in the future education system. Now, in most of the cases, when I even wanted to talk about the public board examinations and factors, marks has been the only criteria till now to judge a student's performance. But I would not recommend it, or I would not suggest it. Why? Because marks alone do not make a student. There are several factors on which the performance of the student needs to be judged. And in the new education policy, we find that this has also been looked into. Now, public examination and boards are going to be removed for some time, and they are going to bring in a system where there is going to be several other methods of judging the performance. This is definitely a very big positive turnover, which I would say, in terms of the education system, because this will make the students even more accountable, and they will feel that they are being tested on their skills, they are being tested on their ability, rather than just looking into their marks altogether. Now, the most important factor is that from the education policy, I would also suggest the importance of research and development, which needs to be pitched in. So the concept of PhD going forward is not just based on the theoretical 4 years, rather it should be more on the conceptualized understanding and the implementation of your idea to the best level possible. The researcher should be given more motivation, more grants, especially for the people who are from private colleges and private schools. They should be given importance as equal to that of the government colleges and teachers altogether. Because when you look into the government pay scale, the government grants, or their kind of benefits that are being given, none of these things are being given to a private school teacher or to a private colleges. So there needs to be a system where the government as well as the private, be any kind of educational system, they should be respected and regarded as one system. They should be respected and regarded as one educational entity altogether. That is when the discrepancy between the teachers will start coming down, and that is when people will take teaching as a serious profession altogether. So the concept of PhD should also be emphasized upon the factor that they should be selected on merit basis. They should be given the opportunity to do a prime time research where they have to involve themselves in a primary research scale, and they should be evaluated with an open public thesis where they have the opportunity to put forward their idea across to the group. It should not be something that just 4 years you write a thesis, you publish it, and then automatically you are a doctorate. What has been done so many years in India is that we have just been publishing paper after paper, trying to do some theoretical work. But most of the time we don't get an opportunity to implement, to interact, and to put the practical application of what we are writing. So the national education policy should definitely make a consideration where PhD can be made even more practical oriented, even more interactive, and even more meaningful altogether. That's where the development of a nation will happen. Why? Because when research and development starts happening in a country, automatically the intellectual output will also go up, and the country can also make a rapid progress in terms of ideas, in terms of opinions, and in terms of building that intellectual knowledge potential altogether. With that, I would like to come to a conclusion on today's session. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful session. I hope and believe that this would have added some meaning, this would have added some sense altogether in terms of the national education policy. I kindly request to all my viewers, please do subscribe to my channel. Please do share your ideas and opinions with me. This will make my session even more interactive, and this will also help me to gather knowledge from your side. Thank you once again for joining me on this wonderful day. Goodbye.